I just wanted my own currency. And I did what
so much to ask.
I wanted to come up with. I came up with something called Toyota Coin. I thought it was going to revolutionize the dealership. Started talking to a couple guys online. We meet up in person. Long story short, I got raped. I got tricked into sucking cock, and that's why I'm here
So
at
this is
Grayfield Elementary talking to you kids today to warn you about the dangers of cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
so this
A lot of you have been hearing cool stories about Bitcoin being used to buy downloadable content in video games. It's not happening, kids. There's not a single game where that works. Instead, I'm now HIV positive going around to schools.
Whoa, Jim. So this is separate from you getting raped in
I've had a hard life.
Yeah.
Where
Jim, it's been a long road.
Some people, they go through life and they learn a lot of different lessons. And some of us learn the same lessons over and over and over again.
Do you think at a certain point it becomes part of your identity and you think of yourself as a guy who gets raped?
You know, Nietzsche once said that the only way to find the true soul of a man is to put a cock in his mouth and see how he reacts. And that was told to me by a very wise man, a man I respected, who I found out years later was also a sex criminal.
Right.
What's his name?
His name was Robert. I met him at a bus stop that I would find out that he was living at.
And by any chance, did you suck Robert's cock?
I did, because he said the thing about Nietzsche, who I thought it was probably, that was smart. It seemed like a smart thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
that
seemed
does sound
smart.
You know, I thought maybe later he'd buy a Toyota.
Right.
He was saying, he was like, talking about, oh, I hate taking the bus. He said, I overheard you. You're talking about, you're the guy that sells Toyotas, right? And I said, yeah, that's me. And he said, boy, I'm really tired of taking the bus. I would love a Toyota if somebody would just, you know.
But I have too much cum in my balls to buy one.
Give me the, what they...
It's slowing me down.
Slow me down. These heavy-ass balls are making it impossible for me to reach for my wallet.
Yeah, give me the Sweet Jimmy treatment. Sweet Boy Jimmy treatment from down there at Delorean Toyota.
DeLorean Toyota.
Wow.
The Toyotas of the future today.
Wow.
Did you guys ever get sued by the DeLorean company?
No, because John DeLorean actually raped
he raped you.
and he was always worried.
Stop getting.
Jim from fucking Wisconsin. Jim from Fond du Lac loves getting raped.
He doesn't love it. It just happened.
John DeLorean,
Constantly.
we had a whirlwind romance where he took me to Northern Ireland with him when he was planning on building the factories. And
Wow,
I thought
you've had an interesting life. I thought you said you were married to a woman.
in my mind,
been a
I
long
thought
road.
he was headhunting me for a position as the vice president of sales at DeLorean, but
Right.
it turns out he thought I was cute and wanted my boy pussy.
But he did fly you out. That says something.
He flew me out. I knew something was up when I got there, and there were roses and a dress in
Wow,
my
you
hotel room.
you got wined and dined.
There was very little discussion of any kind of job position, and when I asked him about it, he said, "What position?" I sent you a letter in the mail that said, "I would love to blow a load in your mouth."
That's
And
a romantic
please
letter.
call me. And I thought he meant to give me a job.
That's
I don't know, Jim. That kind of seems on you, man.
No, that's
It
a
was
common
the
misunderstanding.
80s. It was
the
a
80s.
different. People had a lot.
I guess
of
you're right. I don't know
You were pretty
all the
fucked up.
slang from back then.
People talked in a very particular manner in the 1980s. It was the first decade you weren't allowed to openly use the N-word, and white people were still figuring out how to say things.
You were saying new sayings.
We couldn't say the N-word, but we hadn't yet stolen cuss words black people style.
Right.
So you go around, you'd be like, "Hey, shit ass,
Right.
get your dick ass car off my.
Yeah, I'm gonna blow a
Freaking-
load in your mouth.
I'm gonna blow a load in my.
I'm going to
your
fly you
mouth."
out to Northern Ireland.
Blow a load in your mouth. Hey, shit, fuck. Hey, shit. I'm gonna blow a load in your mouth in Northern Ireland.
So you've
while
read-
you're in a pretty red dress.
You've seen the letter. Right?
I've seen the letter. Yeah.
Oh,
so you're
man.
familiar with. So obviously it's a mistake.
It's a mistake anyone could have made.
And down here at the bottom, the lipstick kiss.
Right.
Seal.
That's funny for a
he
guy,
was wearing
for a
lipstick.
guy to do a lipstick kiss on the letter.
And I sent a letter back, and I said I'm very open to be put in any position by you with my own lipstick kiss, because I thought that was perhaps some sort of Northern Irish
Culturally.
etiquette.
And
Yeah,
now is
it's
John.
like-
So John DeLorean is from Northern Ireland, or
I
what
think
is?
he's also from Wisconsin.
Okay.
All letters are sealed.
Now,
with
are
a
we
kiss.
sure this was a man named? So you fuck. So in the 80s, he fucks you in Northern Ireland, and then a decade or so later, he hires you and tells you he needs a real cocksucker.
No, that you're confusing
With
John
the manager,
DeLorean
with the manager
DeLorean.
of John
with
DeLorean.
just a sales manager at DeLorean.
But this
Two different
But
guys.
this wasn't.
Two
That seemed
different
like it was
guys.
about 10 years apart, though.
No, it was about 6 years apart.
Okay, so you fuck John DeLorean.
I did.
And then you work at a different. You were already a car salesman.
Yeah.
So you work at a different dealership, and I guess also in that time you get
Well, you
married.
have to keep in mind that the DeLorean could travel in time. So
Oh, I see.
I worked at the DeLorean dealership, and then John DeLorean came
Oh, it
from
was
the
like
past
that
to
kind of
sue the
DeLorean.
dealership, at which I met him, and he brought me back to the past with him
I see. I
to
see.
rape
Oh.
me in Northern Ireland in the early 80s and re-deliver me back to 1987. And he said, good luck proving that in a court of law.
Yeah, that's next to impossible.
And then everybody thinks I'm insane.
Right.
Like E. Jean Carroll. They
Everyone
say
thinks
they
rape
say
is
that guy's a
sexy.
real E. Jean Carroll.
That's what they call you, huh?
Yeah.
And what have you been doing since? Because that, I mean, all the stories you've told us, the latest time was 2003. So what have you been doing in the?
I started a podcast about the Westminster Dog Show.
Oh,
Really?
you
Yeah.
rate the doggos.
Well, I tell you, it's kind of defunct now because the first couple episodes I had some friends on and it was nice. We just talked about the dogs. Third episode we had a big get.
Oh yeah.
Lawrence
get?
Fishmeister. Does his name ring a bell?
I know
really.
Lawrence
The first
Fishburne.
75% did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Lawrence
that's-
Fishburne, but
There's
I
an
don't know
actor
Lawrence
played
Fishburne.
Morpheus.
You're thinking of the black guy from the fucking
from Morpheus.
from the King of New York.
I am. Yeah, Larry Fishburne.
Yeah, but this guy was the premier judge of the Westminster Dog Show.
Oh wow, that is a big get.
From 1973 until 1993.
What kind of relationship did you guys have?
Well, we were just going to interview him for the podcast. And he got into town early, and he said, I'm at my hotel, and then we have a couple of hours before we do the show. Why don't you come over and hang out?
Yeah.
And we can talk about some Toyotas I was thinking
Oh
about.
wow. So, but you're out of the game. You're a podcaster.
And,
now.
and I said, I don't really want to talk about Toyotas. I had kind of a traumatic experience. I'm
You
just
sold them for years.
Oh, he said, "Oh, no problem. We can just." And so we got to I got to his hotel, and it was nice. He's showing me awards that he had won and
Yeah,
pictures of him
yeah.
with presidents,
Right.
different characters.
And he must be pretty old at this
Him
point
and
too,
Ronald
right?
Reagan, him and Margaret Thatcher. He had a picture of him and Osama bin Laden.
Oh, holy shit.
So he was a popular guy back in the 1980s, and he said, do you want me to give you a sample? And I said, of what? And he said, of how I judge the dogs. And I said, sure. And he said, well, get down like a puppy dog.
On all fours.
And he had a
no.
collar and a leash, and he
no.
put it on me.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
And I said, okay. And then he had a little dog snout and some ears, and he put on me. And, he's like, well, go around the room. And I thought it was weird at first, but then I kind of got into it.
You got
And
into it.
and I'm like, woof, woof.
Oh, wow.
And he's like, okay, come over here, Jim. And we're going around the room. And he said, well, it's not really working because the dog, doesn't wear clothes.
Doesn't wear clothes. This is really tripping me up.
And that's where, I said, okay, something seems like
Something's up.
it's up.
At that point, your spidey senses start tingling.
Something's up.
With the collar on, with
But
the
I
dog
figured
mask.
He did have a point. Dogs don't wear
They
clothes.
don't. They wear a collar, but
So
that's it.
I took my clothes off, and I'm going around the apartment, and he said, okay, well, get up on here in the bed, boy. And I'm up on bed on all fours, and he reached under my legs and grabbed my scrotum and started massaging my testicles.
Oh, wow. That must have felt kind of good at first.
And, I thought it was weird, but he's like, this is the most important part of the dog
That's
show.
how he judges.
And I said, what are you checking for testicular cancer? And he says, no, a lot of people don't understand what's going on when the judge. I was the guy that invented this.
Wow.
Back in the day, they looked at me like I was crazy when I started feeling the dog's balls.
Right.
But what really sets a dog apart at the dog show
Yeah.
is the level of obedience
Right.
of the dog.
Right.
And it's indicative of the breed.
Yeah,
So when
being
you,
a good boy.
when you play with a dog's balls,
Right.
a regular dog will probably bite you. A show dog knows not to bite you. But there still might be an underlying level of tension that the dog is experiencing.
Right.
So when you're playing with the dog's balls, what you want to look for is the tightness of the dog's asshole, because that indicates how stressed out the dog is.
And how do you check for that?
And so he's massaging my balls, and I notice my asshole is a bit tight.
Right.
And he said, "So this would be a fail. This should be a not a pass because you're not relaxed.
Worst
enough."
in show.
And I said, "Well, I
want to succeed.
I don't want to be upstaged by a dog." And I think I got lube out his bag and he fucked me. And I said, "How much more? What we got? 3 minutes left." We got 3 minutes left. So he said, as he slid each inch into my ass,
Right. And when that's happening, what are you thinking? Just out of curiosity.
I'm saying, I'm a Dalmatian. I'm a Dalmatian.
Right.
I'm a Dalmatian. I'm a Dalmatian. And then he said, he pulled my hair back and he said, if you're a good enough boy, I'll come buy one of your slut Toyotas.
Wow.
And that sent me into a spiral.
Right.
Oh, that was like your sensory recall.
And much like a dog, I sort of snapped around and I ripped his trachea out with my teeth.
Oh, wow.
I really turned into a feral animal. And you would think that murdering a man with your bare hands, you're chewing through his neck veins and bleeding him out in the hotel room, would give you enough street credit that when you're invariably sentenced to 10 years in prison for manslaughter, that
you get a little respect.
You get respect. But
yeah.
they found out about the dog thing, and I don't even know where they got a kennel to put
in jail.
But day one, they already had toys for me and little princess dog outfits that I had to wear.
Wow.
And they said there was a guy named Tyrone that called me his little Bichon Frise.
I see.
That's me.
And boy, I thought I knew what being raped was before I went to jail. But these guys in there, it's like the NBA. Basically.
Right.
You're playing street ball outside.
The speed of the game is so much faster. The speed and the power.
When you get into a Midwestern state prison, a frigid, landlocked hell filled with just the raw, unbridled rage of maladjusted racial tensions over the last 100 years. A place that's too fake to deal with racism.
Right.
They really let a dog have it.
They let a white dog named Jim really they really put a pounding on his asshole.
And the worst part about it was I couldn't do my podcast while I was in
Yeah,
so
you
it
didn't
kind of
even
fell
know what was
apart. You
going
guys
on
had
at the Westminster
So
show.
after two episodes,
we were seeing a huge uptick in traffic.
Because that was a big get.
We were seeing a lot of good metrics. We were averaging maybe about 750, 1,000 downloads per episode. And I was getting...
Really? Holy shit.
I was getting emails from people from all over. 2 or 3 guys. One of them was in California. He told me his autism. He's lived with his mom his whole life, and it really brightened his day to listen to me talk about dogs and stuff. And to know that I was making a difference in someone's life really felt good.
That made it all worth it.
And so I emailed him back and I said, "No, thank you, I appreciate it." And he said, "Listen, I'm actually going to be in Fond du Lac."
Really?
And I was out on parole, and I didn't have anything to do. And he was like, "Well, do you want to meet me
at my own
at the drive-through of fucking whatever the Midwestern version of Whataburger is.
Right.
And that guy raped me also.
Yeah.
At Culver's.
And that
At Culver's, you had a nice custard in your system?
Mhm.
Yeah, you had your cheese curds.
Jim, I got to say, pal, so now you're out of jail.
Yeah.
When's the last time you were raped? How long has it been? Do you have one of those boards at your house that says
Days
0
since.
days since getting raped?
You know, I feel like that's a very personal question.
Okay.
You've shared a lot.
I don't think I can. I think it's outside of my Midwestern good
Your
graces.
values. I
My
understand.
Midwestern value system.
Well, listen, Jim, we're all having a good time hanging out. Do you maybe want to come back to my place after this?
You know, I would love to, but I'm meeting with a potential investor down at the Econo Lodge on Route 40.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Investor in what?
Wait, you're meeting at the Route 40 and Pulaski Highway in Rosedale, Maryland?
Sure.
You're going to get the pod back up and running?
I'm going. There's a guy who might buy podcasting equipment for me, but he says I got to suck his dick to get it. And I think that's just an expression.
Yeah, it's probably an expression. Well, maybe another time, Jim.
Maybe another time. And that's how you burn 30 minutes.
Look pretty good.
I love Jim, the guy that can't stop getting raped from Fond du Lac.